Good morning, Michigan State! How you doing? Woo! Get on your feet! On your feet! On your feet! Stand up! Stand up! When I say TEDx, do you say MSU? TEDx! 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 Woohoo! Hey, congratulate the person next to you. Say, I'm glad you're here. To the person next to you, say you're glad I'm here. You guys ready to have some fun? Let's go there. Relax. Kick back. Enjoy the day. We are going to have a blast. I am so excited to be here with you. Interesting thing about it, coming back here to Michigan State is a homecoming for me, so it's an honor for me to be with you, fellow Spartans. This is fantastic. You know, as you kick things off here right now, look around, check it out, check out these cool people in the room. Hey, go ahead and judge them. You've already done it anyways, right? Get that out of the way. But if I stood here in front of you today and I shared with you that I was an executive representing a Fortune 100 company as a sales manager, how would you judge me? Greedy. That guy's taking all the money. He's got no heart, no soul. As I stand before you today, and I tell you that I was once homeless, and I didn't know where I was getting my next meal from, how would you judge me? Loser, get a job. If I stand before you today and tell you I was once a teacher at a university, taught classes, how would you judge me? Know-it-all. What do you see? What do you see? You see, the choice is yours in what you see and hear. The judgment is yours. You decide. Interesting thing, being back here at Michigan State, my degree here was advertising in the Com Arts College. And a lot of times people say in advertising there is a subliminal message. They're trying to get into people's heads, trying to change the way you think. Some of you, even probably back in the day, got an old LP or heard about those old timers out there in rock and roll running the Beatles LPs backwards, looking for the hidden messages. But as I think about these things, and I think about how many things we see and hear and don't hear, and how do we take stuff in, and how do we look at the world, and how do we judge it? How does it judge us? Through our own eyes. Your eyes. So it got me thinking one day, if there's all these subliminal messages, what have I learned? We all remember back when you were a young child going off to school for the first time. You were excited, you were scared. But anywhere in the world, you went off to school and there was a little bit of excitement there. Well, I grew up here in the United States of America. We went off to kindergarten. And it was cool, because in kindergarten in the United States of America, they give you milk and cookies and you get to take a nap during the day. It's really cool. And everything you do is positive. They give you stars. They give you smiley faces. They tell you how good you are. And it's fantastic. But then 2 years later, you reach second grade. And something happens when you reach second grade. The stars and the smiley faces start to disappear. And you wonder, where have they gone? I missed the stars and smiley faces. Where did my milk go? Where's my nap today? I could use a little power charge right now. And what replaces it? What replaces it? The stars and smiley faces are gone. And you start to see this. And you say to yourself, what is this? I don't like this. Where are my stars? Where are my smiley faces? I want the good things back. And then you go through an educational process in your life, and this happens in so many different educational systems in the world. And they point out to you what you've done wrong. Time and time again. 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. Every test, every quiz, every paper, what you've done wrong. And for you people out there that love art, look at that color. Look at the color. Could you pick a more emotionally charged color than this or that? It's the color of love. It's the color of anger. It spans the whole gamut of emotion. It is the most emotional color on the color palette. And it goes to show everything you've done wrong. Year after year, you're pointing out what you've done wrong. Year after year. So, you may recognize that guy. Anybody know who that guy is? Pavlov. You may remember his research. A great Russian physiologist. He studied what happens with dogs in conditioning reflexology. And his hallmark work was working with dogs and ringing a bell, and the dogs in over conditioning would salivate when they just heard the bell before the food came. So think about this. Years and years of conditioning, we have conditioned our youth in this country and around the world to focus on what they've done wrong. And then all of a sudden they get of age and we send them out in the world. And what's the first thing they do to everybody else? They tell them what? That they're wrong. Their ideas are wrong. Well, we got the subliminal message loud and clear. Just like Pavlov's dog, we've learned. It's okay to tell people they're wrong. It's okay to tell them they don't get it. And then what happens when that goes too far? And we push it too far as a society or as people in the world. We push our point of view and tell everybody else they're wrong because we don't understand. Why does it have to be this way? Why don't we get to the root of the problem? We take care of symptoms all the time. If we educate a society on everything they're doing wrong, what tells them that they're great? Oh, we leave that up to them. So we don't develop and condition people to be right. We only condition and develop them to be wrong. What's up with that? We have to change the way that we educate the world. And we have to have set goals, lofty goals, creative goals. Take the lid off. Let people grow. I remember I shared this concept over the years as it's developed in me, and I've seen it with so many people. Well, I put it to the test. I was teaching at a college, and I wanted to try this with my students. So instead of using any red check marks and pointing out anything they did wrong, what do you think I did? Now of a concept, I went back to kindergarten. And I pointed out what they did right. And I encouraged them to do more right. And when I graded their exams and their tests, instead of marking what they did wrong, I circled what they did right. One young lady came up to me, she said, "Professor Zeller, there's something wrong with my midterm exam." I said, "What's that?" She goes, "Well, you missed one here." Because there was nothing on that question except what she had answered. And I said, "Would you like a green circle on that answer to show that you got it right?" She said, "Well, yes, I would." And I said, "Fantastic. Study a little harder for the next exam and you'll get that green circle." And every green circle they got was a point in the right direction, building their confidence, showing them what they can do versus what they can't do. We have this opportunity every day to go out there and look at what can be done and what can't be done. But we have to ask ourselves, as societies in the world, what are we educating our youth to focus on? If we look at the ills of the world, we realize so many of these issues are because we have some people telling other people their way of life or what they do or how they do it is wrong. And then we wonder, why are they so mean? Why are they so cruel? Well, what we train them to do subliminally for all these years? We've trained them to point out what's wrong. It's interesting because I do a lot of work with youth. And here in America, I can go into a typical high school. And I can walk in, and I can bring in a friend of mine, stand in front of a classroom, and say, hey, I'd like you to meet my friend. What don't you like about him or her? And I don't have to wait long for a response to that. It's too easy for them to point out the negative. It's too easy for them to point out what's wrong. But here's my test. I'll take that person into the next room, the very next room, right next door, and I'll say, I'd like you to meet my friend. Tell me what you like about this person. And I hear this. Nothing. Nothing. Why is that? Now, if there's somebody really fired up in the room, sometimes I'll hear, for all I know, the guy's an axe murderer. And I'll get some sarcastic comment. Why? Is it funny? Does that inspire people? Does that motivate people? And then people say, hey, Phil, take a joke, man. A joke at someone else's expense, I'm sorry, that's not funny. But then again, if that's how you've been conditioned that it is, how would you know any better? Because for you, you're ignorant to the fact that that's not the way it has to be or should be. You've been conditioned to realize it's okay to make fun of people, to judge people, and to tell them they're wrong. A simple change we have to make. Another man, this man right here, Dale Carnegie himself, known here in the United States as the father of the self-help movement. If you go into, we have these museums throughout the United States called Ripley's Believe It or Not. And if you go into one of these museums, you'll see his picture as the man in the history of the world that listened to more people talk than any other human being. The key phrase here is that he listened. He didn't talk at or talk of, he listened. And in his lifetime of listening to people, he wanted to understand, how do we better relate to other people? Irregardless of their religion, irregardless of their ethnicity, irregardless of anything. How do people on the most basic level relate? And instead of philosophizing about it, he spent his lifetime studying human behavior. He called his classrooms that he started teaching in 1912 his laboratory of human behavior, to understand what is it that connects people. How come some people have better relationships than others? What is it? Well, if you follow Mr. Carnegie's work, which is now actually his work, one of the best-selling books in the history of the world, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And his legacy is a company that spans over 80 different countries and is taught in 30 different languages around the world. And it transcends religion. Because at the core, we're talking about human behavior. And his very first thing in his research of his lifetime, he found the number one thing, and the only thing he challenged any human being not to do to have a better life. He challenged them not to criticize, condemn, or complain. Because when you do that, you've shut down your mind. You've limited your own growth. you've closed your thinking. And then we ask ourselves, this man, he shared this. His legacy is known worldwide. Why don't people follow this simple wisdom? It's come to me, and I realize in my lifetime that it isn't that people don't want a better life. It's not that they don't want to be happy. It's not that they don't really want to treat people with respect. It's that they don't know how. And that's got to change. We've got to show people how to focus on what's good, how to focus on the positive, how to educate our youth in the world to always look for the good and look to aspire to be more. And it doesn't happen when we're telling them they're wrong all the time. So my challenge to all of you is change your thinking. Because the opposite of criticism is understanding. We look different, we think different. Well, you know what? Maybe if we took the time to understand one another, we could appreciate each other more. Now, I'm not saying you have to change your ways for someone else. But if you're set in your ways and you think only your ways are right, you've already limited your growth. So the challenge to all of you is open up your mind, open up your heart, and if you ever want to be a mentor, a coach, a leader, whether you're leading a Fortune 500 company, or you're helping a homeless person on the street, or you're educating a group of people, remember in your head, no matter from wherever you came from, because I've come from all those places, that it's about people. And people don't want to be wrong, they want to be right. Some people say, well, does this mean you let anything happen? No. We coach people to be right. See, when you criticize people, they don't grow. But when you coach people, they achieve great things. So that's my challenge to all of you. Open your minds, seek understanding, coach people to be successful, and change will happen in the world. Because all that hate and all those things will disappear. Because we have shown people how that being positive and making a difference is better than being wrong. Smiley faces. Keeping it positive. Going green. Grow. Grow your mind. Grow humanity. Grow the world. And it begins with all of you helping others to realize that the first thing we have to change is we have to stop telling people they're wrong, and we have to show them how to be right. Thank you, MSU!